social media influencers have taken those pieces and saturated everywhere with them. Now everyone I see is wearing those pieces. No, no, no. What were we thinking? How many of you had this scarf? I did. I used to wear it all the time. I used to do the whole kind of like 2010s. Do you remember the whole corporate office look where you went to work in what you could technically wear into a nightclub or a bar after? Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So I want to talk about things that were once iconic and are now not. And I'm including Christian Louboutin in this because I don't know what's happened to that brand, but it is not popular the way it used to be. We're also going to talk about this whole core thing, like aesthetic core at the moment, which is the English countryside. How are we all feeling about English countryside attire? Are you sick of it just yet? Are you loving it? Have you bought into it? I'm sort of somewhere on the fence at the moment. I've bought into it because, well, I had a lot of stuff that was like it in the first place. Yeah, it is getting a bit tedious. So we're going to talk about all of it. I'm going to talk about some pieces that I think are like real heirloom pieces that are worth you buying, that are investments. And when I say investments, I'm not talking like bags anymore. I don't feel like a lot of these bags are investments anymore. They used to be 10 years ago. I'm talking about fine jewellery. So we're going to go through all of it. Okay, starting with things that I think are iconic. And we are going to talk about the whole English countryside core aesthetic thing as well, because I want to get your opinion on it. Are you sick of it or not? Starting off with jewellery. I'm going to talk about fine jewellery specifically, because when you buy from the likes of Bulgari or Cartier or any of these big brands that you would get in Harrods or any of these big department stores or down Bond Street in London, you are paying for a brand name. If you were to take the weight of gold, let's say if you bought like a love bracelet and you weigh that, and I've shown you this before, but actually you are spending so much more than that bracelet is actually worth based on the gold value and the weight of the piece in question. You're paying for the experience, you're paying for the brand, you're paying for that box that the product comes in. You're paying for the free glass of champagne you get, you know, if you ask nicely when you go in. You're not paying for the quality of the piece. But there are other brands that I strongly recommend that if you buy from them, they're not cheap because they're diamonds, because they're gold, but they offer value for money, because what you are buying and the price you are paying is actually so much closer to what you're getting in the weight of gold and the quality of the diamonds, etc. Okay, so I want to talk to you about this brand that, and I'm both a customer, but I work with them. It's this brand called Paloma Diamonds, and I will link to everything below. So all of the pieces come in a dust bag. Well, in fact, all of the pieces come in a box, and then the box comes in this dust bag. The boxes come in 2 different sizes. So if you were to order like a ring or a pair of earrings, something smaller, it would come in the smaller box. If you were to order a necklace, a bracelet, something larger, it would come in the larger size box. I'm going to show you something about their boxes in a minute, because there's something quite cool about them that I quite like, which means that I don't tend to throw them in the bin. Like, I always get this with fine jewellery. The boxes tend to be so big and bulky, but so beautiful at the same time. And it's like, what do you do with it? Do you store it? Do you chuck it away? I've got a friend of mine, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but she'll go and buy like Tiffany & Co, Cartier, and she chucks those boxes in the bin. She doesn't care. Chanel, when she buys a bag and it comes in the big box, she chucks the box in the bin. Her recycling is like bougie recycling. But anyway, let's talk about this. So Paloma Diamonds, I really recommend them. They're a brand that I feel are iconic. They've been going since 1975. They have 4 decades worth of experience with fancy coloured diamonds. Now, a fancy coloured diamond, I feel very passionate about diamonds, but also pearls and fine jewellery in question. Fancy coloured diamonds typically come in greens, oranges, yellows and pinks. And they are technically rarer than your typical traditional white diamond. Because they are rarer, technically they are actually worth more. And I think they are prettier. Like, a white diamond is very beautiful, but wait until you see a fancy coloured diamond. So I'm going to do some like cutaway clips here to show you what I have. I've got a pair of earrings and 2 rings, but I'm also going to show you what I already happen to own from them as well as we go. They have got a newly launched fine jewellery line, and as I say, all of them are natural fancy coloured diamonds. They are all 14 karat gold, although when ordering, if you would prefer 18 karat, if you contact Paloma and ask them, they will actually do that for you as well. So they are very flexible, they offer that for you. And with their diamonds, they make sure that they are ethical and not from conflict zones. And this is a thing with natural diamonds. I've spoken before about lab grown. Lab grown can be great because you can get a diamond for a lot less. But a lot of you argue with me, is it really a diamond though, because it's lab grown? And I get the argument. With natural stones, they're worth more. They're worth more because they are a natural diamond. But there is this issue of conflict. And so when I found out a long time ago that Paloma are about sustainability and making sure that isn't an issue with their diamonds, it definitely drew me to them. So I've got 2 rings here. Let me come in closer and show you. Let me just click there so I can show you. And obviously you've seen the cutaway clip. So I've got 2 beautiful rings. These are new designs. Then I got a pair of earrings. And as you can you see these are I love these. They're studs. They're white diamonds with fancy yellow diamonds as well, just in the middle there. Something I wanted to tell you about their boxes. So when you order, obviously your pieces come like this. But what you can do is there is a tag down here. If you pull this tag, flip that tray around, and on the reverse of the tray, it looks like this. And what this means is you can use this as a jewellery box. And I actually do, let me show you. So this is an old Paloma box I already happen to own, but I store all of my pieces in there. It's just so convenient. It's great for travel. This size in particular is fab for travel. But it also means that I've actually got you can do something with the boxes after, because as I say, this is something that drives me mad with these big designer brands, is you get the box and it's really beautiful, but what do you do with it? Before we move on to the next, which is the whole English countryside core aesthetic thing, just to say that Paloma are running some promotions at the moment. So there is a holiday deal going on at the moment, which is 15% off site-wide for their end of year promotion. And if you buy, you get a free gift, a special gift with purchase. If you spend over $2,000 US, you get a free pair of diamond trio studs, which I already own. I bought the single one though, and I'm wearing it at the moment actually. They're really nice. If you spend over $3,000 US, you get a free 2-tone petite diamond wrap ring. Or I have a coupon code that works all year round. I don't profit from it. So if you use it, I don't make any commission or anything like that, just to be really clear. That code is Sophie15, gets you 15% off, permanent all year round discount. But those other deals are just for the end of this year. So like the free gifts with purchase, the discounts, etc., just for the end of this year. They offer free worldwide shipping, easy returns and a warranty. So really, really great brand. Okay, English countryside core, how are we all feeling about it? I feel I like it, but I definitely think it's a trend right now, and I don't think it's going to last. I think the influencers who are pushing this, and there's a few doing it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think, a bit like with other trends, it's popular now, but I'm not convinced it's going to last. And I question certain brands that have really wrapped their ethics and identity around this aesthetic. I question what's going to happen to them when this trend passes and something else comes into play. I wonder what's going to happen to them. Like, do you remember the whole Dolce & Gabbana big dress thing? Like, I bought one. You know the dresses you could get that had the floral patterns on them? There was the hydrangea one. What one did I get? I think I got like the peony one or something. That was a big trend at the time. And then everyone moved on from it. And now you don't really see people wearing those Dolce & Gabbana dresses. They're like attracting dust in the wardrobe. So I'm not sure that this is going to work, but I think right now it's a trending thing. Do I think you'd be losing money by buying, let's say, an English countryside coat? No, particularly if you do live in the countryside. Let's say you've got a dog or you go on lots of walks. I think those pieces are actually really handy to have because you can wear them all year round. But definitely, I think it's a trend right now, if you ask me. And then finally, pearls. Pearls are definitely iconic. I think about like my grandmother, for example. She bought a set of really expensive pearls back in the 70s. My mum has those now. They got passed down to her. They're beautiful. They haven't dated at all. And sure, pearls can look quite dusty, but there's also a way of making them look modern and contemporary. And I think you buy pearls a bit like with the jewellery I showed you earlier. You buy quality AAA pearls with sterling silver or gold, even gold plated, and you've got something there that you can hand down in your family. Let's talk about the things that, in my opinion, were once so popular and now they are not. Okay, the first is how many of you remember this Louis Vuitton scarf? Was it by Stephen Sprouse? I think it was. It was the leopard print scarf that had the Louis Vuitton written on it in like a pinky purpley writing. That was a thing. I bought one of those and I don't know what I've done with it. I have not actually seen it in years. Do I miss it? Not really. I remember mine got all ruined actually because I wore it so much, but this was a thing. Everyone had this scarf, everyone that I knew, and there were fakes all over the place as well. So I knew people that had it that bought the real thing. I knew people that had it that didn't. They like bought it from wherever they were buying stuff from at the time. And it was a thing, but then it suddenly died. And I actually feel like scarves in general aren't a thing like they used to be. Like, you wear a scarf now to keep you warm. You don't wear a scarf now as part of your look. This was so iconic. This was something that I think we all thought was going to be around. Like, I definitely thought, oh, I'll buy this scarf and it's always going to be in fashion, and how wrong I was. Okay, next is Christian Louboutin. What were we thinking, guys? What were we thinking? With the block ones in particular, what were we thinking? Why did we wear those? They weren't comfortable. They were actually dangerous. The amount of times I went over on my ankle wearing the platform versions. I'm so glad that I sold all of mine when I did. I started selling mine off. Do you remember I've done videos before on my Louboutin collection? I don't really have much of a collection anymore. I used to own so many pairs and I loved them. But it was a very early 2010s, 2015 kind of thing. I don't feel like they're fashionable anymore. And I actually think a couple of things killed off Christian Louboutin. First of all, I think fakes killed them off. You'd go out and everyone would be wearing their stuff, but it would be predominantly fakes. I also think COVID had an impact. Christian Louboutin is typically known for sky-high heels. I think after COVID, a lot of us got used to not wearing heels, and I know that the trend now is to be a lot more casual. Athleisure wear is predominant, and I think that whole thing of really getting glammed up just to go down to do your grocery shop isn't really a thing anymore. People aren't really doing it. The next one's contentious, and I'm going to say it, and I might eat my words, but the Hermes Birkin, with all of the pieces I'm going to go through in this list that I feel were iconic and now aren't, it's not that they don't have a value. I mean, obviously the Birkin has a huge value, but I feel as though social media has picked it up and now everything is saturated with it. I can't remember who I watched the other day. It might have been Andri. I will link to Andri's channel below. Andri, forgive me if it wasn't you who said it. Maybe it wasn't you who said it, but someone said something that felt the same way that I did, which is, actually Andri, it might not have been you. I don't know, but someone was talking about how social media can take an item, hype it, then it becomes a uniform. And then before you know it, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to be seen with that anymore. Move on to the next thing. And normally things are cyclical. So you will have an item or a bag or a style, let's say. It used to be that everyone was in a Mercedes. I remember you'd have people on Instagram doing I've got a new set of nails, and they take a picture with the steering wheel behind. Now everyone's got a Porsche, like a Macan or a Cayenne or whatever. And that's the thing now, you know. But times will change in the future. There'll be something else in the future that will change. And I think when you look at the Hermes Birkin, social media have killed that bag for me personally. I see it all over the place. I do see it in West London, but I see it all over the place on social media. There's a lot of fakes going on. Not that I'm accusing anyone of having a fake, but what I'm saying is there's loads of these channels out there that openly buy off DHgate and promote those pieces. So you don't know anymore if what you're looking at's real or not. And when something becomes really commonplace, like the Hermes Birkin has become on social media, does it start to not feel that special anymore? I don't know. To me, the bag is iconic in one way, but in another way, I feel like social media has ruined it. Oh my gosh, this next one, I know I keep banging on about it, but I'm going to talk about it again. It's Van Cleef and it's Cartier. Those things, again, feel like part of the influencer starter pack, along with the Birkin and the Christian Louboutin. Maybe not the Christian Louboutin, because I feel like they finished a while ago. But if you take Van Cleef Arpels, the Alhambra range, if you take the Cartier Love bracelet, let me know if you agree or disagree. So social media influencers have taken those pieces and saturated everywhere with them. Now everyone I see is wearing those pieces, to a point where even David, my husband, we were watching Married at First Sight back in the winter of this year, and some of the people on there were wearing the necklaces, the Alhambra necklaces. And David actually said to me, we were watching it, and he was like, what's with these necklaces? Everyone's wearing the same necklace right now. And I thought it was funny that he'd even noticed, and I explained to him, oh, it's, you know, quite popular at the moment. And when people like my husband start to notice that everyone's wearing it, it makes you wonder whether, yes, it's become a little bit boring. But not that I'm saying they're ugly. I'm not saying they're ugly at all. Quite the opposite, actually. They're very pretty. I'm just making a point that I don't feel like they're necessarily that iconic anymore because of what social media has done to them. And then finally, Tiffany & Co. How do we all feel about Tiffany & Co? I'm mentioning them because I feel like they are trying to make a comeback, and in some ways they really have. But you know where they started, obviously, with their Return to Tiffany bracelets, necklaces, etc. I remember when I was like a teenager, they were a big thing. And I knew one person who got bought one for her birthday, and all of us just wanted to see it. And we were all so excited to see it and get up close, and we all wanted one. And then I remember in like the mid 2000s, it was popular to buy the Tiffany & Co. charms. And you either collected them on a charm bracelet, or if, like us, you couldn't afford to, you just bought one charm and you had it on a necklace. And I need to find out where mine is, but David bought me the cupcake charm, and it had Tiffany & Co. written in very small writing on the base of it, and it had like enamel icing. It was really pretty, actually. I need to try and find that. And I wore it on as a pendant, and all of my friends, we all had the cupcake pendant. We all had it. But something happened to that brand. And I do think that they are trying to reposition themselves at a higher level now. A lot of their pieces that are very popular, social media is doing its best to try and catch up with it. But a lot of its pieces that are very popular are quite a lot more expensive than obviously those silver pieces used to be. Do they even still do that bracelet? Maybe they do. I think they do. But I don't think it's as popular as it once was. It once was iconic. It still is in a way, but it's not popular, put it that way. So that's what I think. I would love to get your thoughts on this video. Is there anything you agree with, anything you disagree with? Let me know in the comments below. As I say, I love getting your feedback on this. Let me know if you think I've said anything that's out of order and you disagree with it entirely. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.